Yeah, the thing that really surprises me is the relationship between Sean Payton, their head coach, and Russell must have really soured somewhere down the road because for you to take this type of salary cap hit that they're going to take something like $85 million over the next couple of years, you must really want to get rid of that player. Not only get him off your football team, but get him out of the organization.
So, Warren, now look, he's 35 years old. Obviously, it's an age where we've seen quarterbacks, their play decline. Going forward, is there still a starting job? Is there a starting spot somewhere in this league for Russell, or does he have to start thinking about possibly being a backup quarterback? What's the future look like for Russ?
I still think there's an opportunity for him somewhere out there. There's a number of teams that need quarterbacks, whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Atlanta Falcons. We've heard talk of a lot of different teams that might need quarterbacks, but it just depends on what direction they want to go. The Minnesota Vikings, if they get rid of Kirk Cousins, might be another place. But it just depends on what that team wants to do at the quarterback spot. Do they want to go with a veteran quarterback, or do they want to start young with one of these young whippersnappers coming out of college this year? Because this is a very strong year for quarterbacks. There could be as many as five or six
Yeah.
first round. So I think that has a lot to do with where Russell's going to end up. Maybe it doesn't happen right away as soon as free agency starts. Maybe a team kind of looks around and sees what's out there, sees what they end up wanting to draft, what veteran quarterbacks that might be a little bit more pleasing to them would be available. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of possibilities for him, but it might be something he has to wait a little while.
If you had the right pieces around him, can Russell still be the quarterback of a winning team? And could he have success in the playoffs? I mean, is this a guy given the right situation where he could still go out there and lead a team to a Super Bowl, or has that time passed him by?
No, I think if you build the right pieces around him and you build the type of offense that really takes advantage of the things that he does well, which is, quick, short passing game, getting him on the move on the outside because he can still use his legs a little bit, and he's still one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. So I think if you can do those things with him, keep him in that type of box, build a good defense around him, but also be able to run the ball. Every time he had success in Seattle, they had a very good running team, whether it was with Marshawn Lynch or whoever was back there. He's got to have a running game, which most quarterbacks do. So if you can get him with a good running back behind him, it takes a lot of the pressure off of him and do some of those other things in the passing game. No question, Russell can be very effective because he has all this experience. He has a lot of playoff experience, a lot of Super Bowl experience. So that comes back to play when he gets to that part of the season.
You mentioned, Warren, all these quarterbacks who are coming out this year and a lot of guys who are very highly touted. It seems like not the greatest year or not the greatest time for something like this to happen to Russ, in that there's not that many jobs that are open out there. And like you said, you do, with some of those open jobs, you've got teams that are expected to draft quarterbacks. So it almost seems like just the jobs aren't there this offseason.
Yeah, not only are there maybe six quarterbacks that could go in the first round, but you also have Kirk Cousins, who's going to be highly sought after. You've got uh, Fields out of Chicago. He's another one that a lot of people are going to be looking at because it looks like Chicago's probably going to have to trade him if they end up drafting Caleb Williams. So those are two guys right there that are going to have to be off the board before maybe they even get to Russell. So yeah, the opportunities are going to be limited for him. So that's why I said it might be a situation where he might have to wait a while before he figures out what team actually is interested in.
Knowing him and having known him for years, Warren, could you see this guy who is obviously an incredibly proud player in person, could you see him going at least temporarily and serving as a backup quarterback?
I don't think he would do it. I think if anything, he would wait. If it takes into the season, something like that, where like you saw Joe Flacco come out of retirement halfway through the season with Cleveland because he waited for that right starting opportunity. And when he came in, he started and took that team to the playoffs. I think Russell would rather do something like that than start the season off as a backup. Now, maybe he'd go to a situation where he goes to a Pittsburgh Steelers where Pickett is there and they end up competing for the job. Now, I can see Russell competing for a job, but I don't see him just saying, I'm going to give it up and be a backup quarterback.
Do you think that his confidence has been shaken, Warren, or do you think that he still believes that he is an elite level quarterback?
I think if you know Russell, he is a very, very positive person. I think he has a sports psychologist that helps him with that. He's so positive to a point that it bugs people. You know, people get tired of hearing how positive he is. So no, I don't think his confidence has been shaken very much. I just feel like he thinks he needs to be in the right situation, and he'll still be able to do the things that he thinks he can do. You've already heard him say he'd like to win 2 Super Bowls in the next 5 years. So that's where his mindset is right now.
Yeah, and maybe that even makes this next question not even make sense. But could you imagine Russell having played his last snap in the NFL? Could you imagine it being over for him?
I can't. I think he doesn't want to go out the way he's going out right now. He would not want to go out being waived by a football team and not ever getting back on the football field. He's too much of a competitor. I think he still has too much left in his tank. He's only 35 years old, and that might be old in some people's minds, but the way he takes care of himself and the way we're able to take care of ourselves as athletes these days, you see players playing a lot longer.
If I was to say, hey, Warren, the over-under's 10 games that Russell starts next season, what are you taking? You going over or under?
I'd say over. I would. I think he's going to have a job before the start of the season, and I just don't know where that job is going to be. Even if it's just competing against somebody else, I think he will win that battle and end up being the starting quarterback.